He stood on the steps of the Sterling Tower, surrounded by 6 men who looked like they chewed gravel for breakfast. They were the best security money could buy. They wore earpieces, dark glasses, and expressions that said they would kill you for sneezing too loud. But they missed the red dot. They missed the glint of the sniper rifle in the high-rise across the street. Damon checked his watch. He hated wasting time. He had a merger to close in 10 minutes that would bankrupt his biggest rival. He didn't care about the protesters screaming his name across the barricade. He didn't care about the heat rising off the Atlanta pavement. He just wanted to get inside the air conditioning and make another $1 million. "Move," Damon commanded, his voice low and raspy. The security team formed a phalanx around him, tight, professional, useless. "Wait, my ball!" A high-pitched voice sliced through the tension like a knife through butter. A little girl, no older than 6, pushed through the legs of the lead bodyguard. She was wearing a dress that had seen better days and clutching a doll that looked like it had survived a war. She didn't look at the men with guns. She didn't look at the angry crowd. She looked straight at Damon Sterling. "Hey, Mr. Grump, you're standing on my bouncy ball." The security lead, a man named Brutus, grabbed her arm. "Get lost, kid. This is a restricted area." She didn't flinch. She didn't cry. She just tilted her head. "Grandpa says it's rude to grab ladies." The sniper across the street exhaled. His finger tightened on the trigger. The shot was lined up perfectly with Damon's heart. He squeezed. At that exact second, the girl yanked her arm free from Brutus, a movement so fast it blurred, and slammed her small shoulder into Damon's knee. Damon buckled. It felt like he had been hit by a sledgehammer. He dropped to one knee just as the bullet whizzed through the space where his chest had been a millisecond before. The round shattered the glass door behind him. Pandemonium. Screams erupted. The bodyguards drew their weapons, spinning in circles, looking for a target they couldn't see. But the girl didn't scream. She didn't run. She calmly reached down, picked up a dirty rubber ball from under Damon's shoe, and wiped it on her dress. "I told you," she whispered, taking a bite of a half-melted lollipop, "you should watch your step." If you enjoy stories about unexpected heroes and jaw-dropping justice, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe right now. We are just getting started with the tea today. Damon stared at her. His ears were ringing. Glass shards were in his hair. He looked at the bullet hole in the door, then back at the child. She offered him the sticky lollipop. "You look pale," she said. "Sugar helps with the shakes." Who was this child, and how did she just save the most powerful man in the city by accident? Or was it an accident? Damon grabbed Brutus by the collar. "Get her in the car, now." "Sir, she's a civilian." "I said get her in the car. Nobody leaves until I find out who sent a kindergarten assassin to save my life." The little girl sighed, hugging her doll tighter. "I hope you have snacks. Bam Bam gets cranky when he's hungry." And just like that, the predator became the babysitter. But the sniper was reloading, and this time he wasn't aiming for the billionaire. He was aiming for the girl. The interior of the limousine was silent, except for the sound of aggressive chewing. Zuri, that was the name she gave them, was decimating a box of gourmet pastries Damon kept for clients. She ate with the focus of a starving soldier, chocolate smeared on her cheeks, crumbs on the leather seats that cost more than most people's houses. Damon sat opposite her, an ice pack pressed to his knee. He watched her. He studied people for a living. He looked for tics, nervous sweats, shifting eyes. Zuri showed none of that. She swung her feet, which didn't touch the floor, and hummed a tune that sounded vaguely like an old gospel hymn. "Who are you?" Damon asked. His voice usually made grown men stutter. Zuri licked her thumb. "Zuri, this is Bam Bam." She held up the doll. It was missing an eye. "He thinks your car smells like old money and sadness." Damon narrowed his eyes. "Where are your parents, Zuri? Why were you in front of my building?" "Grandpa Ezekiel sent me." She reached for another croissant. "He said you were in trouble, said your chi was all messed up, black clouds over your head. He said I have to stay until the clouds go away." "Ezekiel?" The name triggered a faint memory in the back of Damon's mind, a ghost from a past he tried to drown in scotch and work. But that was impossible. That old man lived off the grid. "I don't need a babysitter," Damon snapped, "especially not one who still sleeps with a toy. Driver, take us to the police station. We're dumping her there." The car swerved, not because of the driver, but because a black SUV slammed into their side. Metal screeched, glass shattered again. Damon was thrown against the door, his head cracked against the window. Disoriented, he saw the SUV door fly open. Two men in ski masks jumped out, crowbars in hand. They weren't here to chat. "Stay down," Damon yelled, reaching for the panic button that was now crushed. One of the attackers slammed the rear window. A hand reached in, grabbing for Damon's throat. Zuri didn't scream. She didn't hide. She launched herself across the seat. It happened in slow motion. The attacker's hand was thick, heavy. Zuri's hand was tiny. She caught his index finger, just one finger. She twisted it in a direction fingers are not supposed to go. Snap. The man howled, a sound of pure agony. Zuri didn't stop. She used his own momentum, pulling his arm through the broken window and slamming it against the jagged glass. The man collapsed backwards, screaming about his hand. The second attacker hesitated. That was his mistake. Zuri threw the metal thermos of coffee Damon had been drinking. It hit the man square in the forehead with the accuracy of a major league pitcher. He dropped like a sack of potatoes. Damon stared. His mouth hung open. The driver was shaking. Zuri settled back into her seat, picked up her half-eaten croissant, and frowned. "You made me drop my crumbs," she told the groaning man outside. "Grandpa says it's wasting food is a sin." She looked at Damon, her big brown eyes serious. "The police station doesn't have snacks, does it? I think we should go to your house instead. I'm still hungry." Damon looked at the carnage outside his window, then at the girl wiping chocolate off her face. He realized two things instantly. First, someone wanted him dead fast. And second, this little girl was the most dangerous thing in the vehicle. The Sterling headquarters was a fortress of glass and steel. Damon marched through the lobby, limping slightly. Trailing behind him was Zuri, dragging Bam Bam by the leg. The receptionist gaped. The security guards whispered. Damon Sterling, the man who once fired an assistant for wearing the wrong shade of blue, was babysitting. They entered the boardroom. A long mahogany table was filled with the board of directors, mostly old men in gray suits who looked like vultures waiting for a carcass. At the head of the table was Uncle Marcus. Marcus stood up, his smile wide and fake. "Damon, we heard about the attack. Are you hurt? And who is this?" "I'm fine," Damon lied. He felt like his ribs were cracked. "This is security." A few board members chuckled. A fat man named Henderson laughed the loudest. "Security? Damon, have you lost your mind? It's a stray child. Did you pick her up for a photo op?" Zuri climbed into the empty chair next to Damon. She spun around a few times. "This chair is spinny. I like it." "Get her out of here," Henderson sneered. "We have serious business. The Shaw merger needs your signature, Damon, unless you want to play house." Damon looked at the documents Marcus slid toward him. The text was blurry. His head was pounding. The sickness was flaring up again. He reached for his pen, but his hand trembled. Marcus watched the trembling hand. His eyes gleamed with triumph. "Here, nephew, let me help you. You look exhausted." Zuri stopped spinning. She sniffed the air. She looked at the glass of water Marcus had placed in front of Damon. "Don't drink that," Zuri said loud and clear. The room went silent. "Excuse me?" Marcus laughed, but his eyes were cold. "Little girl, grown-ups are talking." "It smells like the bitter root Grandpa uses to kill rats," Zuri said, pointing at the water. "If you drink it, your tummy will explode." Marcus slammed his hand on the table. "This is outrageous. Damon, your pet is accusing me of poisoning you. I am your family." Henderson stood up, his face red. "I've had enough. Security, remove this brat." Two guards stepped forward. They reached for Zuri. "Don't touch her," Damon warned, but his voice was weak. He was fading.
The first guard made the mistake of grabbing Bam Bam. Zuri didn't stand up. She didn't even leave the chair. She grabbed the guard's wrist, used the spin of the chair to generate torque, and flung him across the room. He crashed into the refreshments table. Coffee and donuts went flying. The second guard froze. Zuri hopped down. She walked over to Henderson, who was trembling. She looked up at him. "You laughed at my boss. Apologize." You little monster," Henderson stuttered. Zuri kicked him in the shin. It wasn't a playground kick. It was a calculated strike to a pressure point. Henderson dropped to his knees, howling. "Apologize," she repeated. I'm sorry, the man sobbed. Zuri nodded and walked back to Damon. She took the glass of water, walked to the potted plant in the corner, and poured it in. The plant fizzled. The leaves turned brown and curled up within seconds. Dead silence. Every eye turned to Marcus. He was sweating now. Damon looked at the dead plant, then at his uncle. The betrayal hit him harder than the car crash. "Meeting adjourned," Damon whispered. Then his eyes rolled back and he collapsed to the floor. The master bedroom of the Sterling penthouse was like a hospital room, but with better curtains. Monitors beeped. Doctors in white coats whispered in the corner. Damon lay in the massive bed, pale as a sheet. "We can't explain it," Dr. Evans said, wiping his glasses. "His vitals are crashing. It's like his blood is fighting itself. We need to get him to the hospital, but he's too unstable to move." Uncle Marcus stood by the door, feigning concern. "Do whatever you have to do, doctor. Save my nephew." Inside, Marcus was counting the minutes until he could call the lawyers. Zuri sat on the edge of the bed. She had refused to leave. The security team was too scared to make her move. She had Bam Bam sitting on Damon's chest. "Move the doll, kid," Dr. Evans said impatiently. "We need to attach the leads." "No," Zuri said. "The machines are loud. They scare the good spirits away." "Security!" Dr. Evans yelled. "Let her be," a voice rasped. Damon's eyes were open, just barely. He looked at Zuri. "Everyone, get out. Leave me with the girl." "Damon, be reasonable," Marcus said, stepping forward. "Out!" Damon roared, summoning the last of his strength. Reluctantly, they filed out. Marcus shot a look of pure venom at Zuri before closing the door. When they were alone, Zuri opened the pouch tied around her waist. The smell was pungent, earthy, sharp, and ancient. "Grandpa said you have the ice blood," Zuri whispered. "He said your insides are freezing up. You need fire." She pulled out a small, dark pill that looked like mud. She forced it between Damon's lips. "Eat. It tastes like dirt, but it works." Damon swallowed. He had no choice. He felt a warmth spread from his stomach. It burned, but it was a good burn, like thawing frostbite. The shivering stopped. The color returned to his cheeks. "Why are you helping me?" Damon asked, his voice stronger. "I tried to throw you out." Zuri shrugged, checking Bam Bam for loose threads. "Grandpa said family protect family, even the grumpy ones." "Family?" Damon frowned. "I don't have a family, just vultures." "You have me," Zuri said simply, "and I'm hungry again. Do you have pizza?" Damon looked at her, really looked at her, the shape of her eyes, the stubborn set of her jaw. A memory flashed. Keisha, standing in the rain, looking at him with that same stubborn expression when he told her to leave for her own safety. No, it couldn't be. "Zuri," Damon whispered, "what is your last name?" "I don't have one. Grandpa just calls me Trouble." Damon reached for the phone on his nightstand. He dialed his private investigator. "Get a DNA kit here now and tell no one. If this leaks, you're dead." He hung up. Zuri was busy jumping on the expensive sofa. Damon felt something he hadn't felt in 10 years. Hope and fear, because if she was who he thought she was, the targets on both of their backs just got twice as big. 2 days passed. Damon was back on his feet, fueled by the mysterious mud pills and a newfound paranoia. The penthouse had been locked down. Zuri was officially appointed head of security, a title she took very seriously by inspecting every pizza delivery box for bombs. But the enemy was already inside. Uncle Marcus sat in his office swirling a glass of amber liquid. Across from him sat a man with a scar running down his face, Darius, the Viper Vance, a hitman who didn't miss. "The girl is a problem," Marcus said. "She's not just a bodyguard, she's unnatural." "She's a child, Marcus," Darius laughed, cleaning his fingernails with a knife. "She broke a man's arm like it was a twig. She sniffed out the poison. And Damon, he looks at her differently. If he finds out who she really is, my claim to the fortune disappears." Darius stood up. "So we kill them both. Tonight, the charity gala." "Too public," Marcus warned. "Public is good. Chaos is good. Accidents happen in crowds." Back at the penthouse, Zuri was in a crisis. "I'm not wearing it," she declared. Damon held up a custom-made dress. It was pink, silk, and cost more than a car. "You are the head of security. You need to blend in. We are going to a party." "Will there be cake?" "Yes, a fountain of chocolate." Zuri snatched the dress. "Deal." Damon watched her run off to change. The DNA results were sitting in his safe. He hadn't opened the envelope yet. He was afraid. What if he was wrong? What if she was just a stranger? But deep down, he knew. His phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. "Mr. Sterling, tonight the little bird falls, and you will watch." The line went dead. Damon gripped the phone until the screen cracked. He walked to the window, looking out over the city he owned. "Let them come," he whispered. "They have no idea what they just woke up." Zuri walked out, wearing the dress and combat boots. She had Bam Bam tucked into a custom sash. "Do I look pretty, Boss Daddy?" The word daddy hit him like a physical blow. He knelt down and fixed her collar. "You look like a queen, Zuri, but tonight I need you to be a warrior." "Okay," she grinned, "but I still get the chocolate." They walked to the elevator. The doors closed, the calm before the storm. But the storm wasn't coming from outside. It was waiting in the lobby, wearing a smile and a tuxedo. Uncle Marcus was waiting to drive them to the slaughter. The ballroom was dripping in gold, chandeliers, champagne towers, fake smiles. The elite of the city were there to pretend they cared about orphans while spending thousands on wine. Damon entered with Zuri holding his hand. The whispers started immediately. "Is that his daughter? I heard she crippled a bodyguard. She looks just like him." Uncle Marcus walked beside them, playing the doting uncle. "Beautiful turnout, Damon. You should relax tonight." "I don't relax, Marcus. You know that." Zuri was scanning the room. She wasn't looking at the decorations. She was looking at the waiters, the exits, the ventilation ducts. "That man has a gun," Zuri said, pointing to a waiter carrying a tray of crab cakes. "That's a serving tray, Zuri." Marcus laughed nervously. "No," Zuri said. "He walks heavy on his left side, and his shoes are rubber-soled, tactical." Damon didn't question Zuri. He signaled his team, but before they could move, the lights went out. Total darkness. "Get down!" Damon yelled, reaching for Zuri. Gunfire erupted. Muzzle flashes lit up the room like a strobe light. Screams of terror. Damon felt a hand grab his shoulder. It wasn't Zuri. It was strong, rough. "Goodbye, nephew," Marcus whispered in the dark. A needle pricked Damon's neck. A sedative, fast-acting. His knees gave way. "Zuri!" Damon choked. "Boss Daddy!" Damon hit the floor. The last thing he saw before the darkness took him completely was a small silhouette leaping off a table, diving straight into the line of fire. Then, silence. Damon woke up zip-tied to a chair. The smell of damp concrete and rust filled his nose. An abandoned warehouse. Classic. He blinked the blurriness away. Standing in front of him was Darius, holding a gun. Uncle Marcus sat on a crate nearby, looking bored. "You're awake," Marcus said. "Took enough horse tranquilizer to kill an elephant." "Where is she?" Damon rasped. "Where is Zuri?" "The brat?" Darius laughed. "She gave us a run. Bit a chunk out of my leg, but she's small. We put her in the box." He pointed to a shipping container suspended 20 feet in the air by a crane. "If you don't sign over the company and the trust fund codes," Marcus said, holding up a tablet, "I press this button, and the container drops. Splat." Damon pulled at his restraints.
You kill me, the board investigates. Not if it's a tragic kidnapping gone wrong, Marcus smiled. You and the bastard child die together. I play the grieving uncle. I inherit everything. She's not a bastard, Damon spat. She's my daughter. Marcus paused. So you knew. Doesn't matter. Keisha is dead. The kid joins her. Sign. High above them, inside the dark container, Zuri was not crying. She was exploring. She found a loose vent. It was too small for a man, but for a 6-year-old.
She pushed Bam Bam through first. "Go get help, Bam Bam," she whispered. She wiggled into the vent. It was tight. Screws scratched her skin. She could hear the men talking below. She could hear her father. Yes, she knew he was her father now. Grandpa had told her the truth before she left, defying them. "I won't sign," Damon said. "Then she falls," Marcus said. His thumb hovered over the remote. Zuri reached the end of the vent. She was on top of the container now. She looked down. It was a long drop, but Grandpa taught her about gravity. Gravity is not an enemy. It is energy. She saw the crane controls on the walkway below. She saw Darius standing right under her. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath. Soft palm style, falling leaf. She jumped. Zuri didn't land on the ground. She landed on Darius. Specifically, her boots landed on his shoulders. The impact drove him to the ground, his face smashing into the concrete. The gun skittered away. "What the?" Marcus screamed, dropping the tablet. Zuri rolled, grabbed the gun. It was huge in her hands. She couldn't shoot it. The recoil would break her wrist, so she threw it. It hit Marcus in the nose with a sickening crunch. "Boss Daddy!" Zuri yelled, running to Damon. She pulled a small knife from her boot, Grandpa's parting gift, and saw it at the zip ties. "Zuri, get out of here!" Damon yelled. "There are more of them!" "No, we fight back!" The warehouse doors burst open. 10 more mercenaries poured in. Marcus, blood streaming down his face, screamed, "Kill them! Kill them all!" Damon broke free. He was weak, but adrenaline is a powerful drug. He grabbed a metal pipe. "Stay behind me, Zuri." "No," Zuri said, taking a stance, her small legs spread wide, her hands open and relaxed. "No, we fight back to back." Damon didn't have time to argue. The first mercenary charged. Damon swung the pipe, taking out his knee. The second mercenary went for Zuri. He swung a baton. Zuri ducked, tapped his elbow, and redirected his swing into his own groin. The man crumpled. It was a dance of violence. The father, a brute force brawler. The daughter, a precise instrument of chaos. They moved as one unit. Damon protected her from the heavy hitters. Zuri took out the ones who tried to flank them. But there were too many. Darius was up again. He pulled a knife. He lunged at Damon's exposed back. "Daddy, look out!" Zuri threw Bam Bam. The doll hit Darius in the face. A distraction. Just enough time for Damon to turn and catch Darius's wrist. But Marcus had picked up a gun. He aimed it at Zuri. "Enough!" Marcus screamed. Time froze. Damon was engaged. Zuri was in the open. Marcus pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed like thunder. Damon screamed, "No!" But Zuri didn't fall. Uncle Marcus looked down at his chest. A red stain was spreading. He dropped the gun. He fell forward, revealing the figure standing in the shadows of the warehouse entrance. It was an old man, lean, weathered, wearing simple robes and dark sunglasses. He held a smoking pistol. "Grandpa!" Zuri cheered. Old man Ezekiel had come down from the mountain. "I told you to watch the perimeter, Trouble. You let them flank you." "Sorry, Grandpa," Zuri said, kicking a groaning mercenary. The remaining mercenaries looked at the old blind man, then at the dead boss, and decided they didn't get paid enough for this. They ran. Damon rushed to Zuri, checking her for holes. "Are you okay? Did he hit you?" "I'm fine, but Bam Bam is dirty again." Damon pulled her into a hug, a real hug. He buried his face in her hair. He was shaking. The billionaire who feared nothing was terrified of losing this tiny person. Ezekiel walked over, tapping his cane. "You got sloppy, Sterling. You let a snake sleep in your bed." "You saved us," Damon said, looking at the old man. "You raised her." "I kept her alive," Ezekiel corrected. "Raising her is your job, if you're man enough." Damon looked at Marcus's body. The threat was gone. The secret was out. "I am," Damon said. "I'm her father." Zuri looked up. "Does that mean I get double allowance?" Damon laughed. It was a rusty sound, but real. "We can discuss it." "Wait," Zuri said. She ran to Bam Bam, picked up the doll, and ripped open the back seam. She pulled a small, waterproof memory card. "Grandpa said to give this to you when the bad men were gone." Damon took the card. "What is it?" "Insurance," Ezekiel said. "Keisha recorded everything before she ran. Marcus's threats, the embezzlement, the doctored medical records. It's all there. You don't just win the fight, you win the war." 3 months later. The Sterling boardroom looked different. The old vultures were gone, replaced by a diverse team of young, hungry innovators. Damon sat at the head of the table. He looked healthier, stronger. The ice blood was under control, treated by modern medicine and Ezekiel's herbal teas. "The Q3 projections look solid, but we need to discuss the new security budget." The door swung open. Zuri walked in. She was wearing a miniature version of Damon's suit. Bam Bam was in a custom-made holster on her hip. "Meeting paused," she announced. "Snack break." Behind her, assistants carried in trays of donuts and chocolate milk. The board members didn't complain. They didn't dare. They knew that this 7-year-old could dismantle them physically and legally. Damon smiled. "You heard the boss. 5 minutes." Zuri hopped onto the spinny chair next to him. "Grandpa's waiting in the car. We're going to the dojo." "I'll be done in an hour." "Don't be late," Zuri warned, "or I'll tell everyone you sleep with a nightlight." Damon chuckled. He looked out the window. The city looked different now. It wasn't just a kingdom to conquer. It was a home to protect. He had lost Keisha, and that pain would never fully fade. But she had left him a piece of herself, a loud, violent, hungry, beautiful piece. Damon Sterling was still a billionaire. He was still a CEO, but the title he was most proud of. "Ready, Daddy?" "Ready, Zuri." The bodyguard wasn't just a little girl holding a doll anymore. She was the heir, and no one could defeat her.